If you're wanting to start a podcast, I know it can be a little overwhelming to be like, what am I supposed to use? How do I do everything? I am running my fourth podcast. And so I wanted to share my setup and the tools that I use to run my podcast. So, first is my mic, which you can see right here. This is my Rode microphone. I'll link to the specific one that I am using down in the description. There are lots of great microphones. I wouldn't overthink it. This is the one I have. I've been using it for 5 or 6 years now, for podcast interviews, YouTube videos, my podcast, client calls, everything. So I enjoy it. But like I said, there's lots of microphones. Now, onto the tech side and all the different pieces that I use to make that happen. So, first, I record my guest interviews in StreamYard, which is also what I'm using to record this video right now. I use StreamYard to go live on YouTube and realize I could double dip with the tool and also use it to record a podcast. And so, even though I don't air the video version of the podcast on YouTube, I can just get the audio and not have to pay for a second tool. And I feel like it has better audio quality than Zoom, also. So, that's another reason. But like I said, I use StreamYard. Then I currently have taken back over podcast editing for the foreseeable future. I previously have used a podcast editor, but I'm currently testing out Podcastle for my editing. Now, I actually used to edit podcasts and videos several years ago. So I'm very familiar with editing software. And I tried Descript and did not enjoy it. And I really like Podcastle. It's very easy. You can just hit 2 or 1 on your keyboard to pull up like the cut to like a shortcut to like, oh, slice here. As you can see, I've kind of like sliced out things in this interview and pulled things out. I'm really enjoying it. And you can also record here. So if you want to record a separate intro, a commercial, or even a whole episode by yourself, you can do that inside Podcastle, which is really nice. Once a podcast is recorded, I then upload it to Castmagic. Now, I've done another video before about Castmagic. I love this tool. It is really, really powerful and helpful. So you can get the transcript for your episode, and then it gives you a lot of um, like snippets and things you can use for the episode. So if I need ideas for a title, it also gives me keywords, an intro, timestamps, questions, key topics that are covered, quotes, a LinkedIn post, more key takeaways, a tweet thread, a thread. So lots of things. Now, are these outputs perfect? No, but they are really, really close and save me a lot of time. I usually like to come in here and 1, get the transcript for my blog post, and 2, get one of the quotes to use for my podcast graphics that I'll share on social media. Then once we're ready to actually publish the podcast, I use Audioboom. Very, very simple, clean interface. I love. As a designer, I love the interface. Very simple. You can see here just title, description, etc. There you go. And they make it possible to publish the episode to all the popular podcast platforms. So that's not an issue. Then once the episode is live, like I mentioned, I do the podcast graphics for each episode, and I do like a little quote from each episode. So this is an example of what I do there. I just have this template in Canva, swap out whatever I need to swap out for each new episode and send it to a guest or download for myself. And then, of course, I have the podcast page on my own website. Whether you are a business owner with a podcast like me, or if the podcast is its own thing, maybe you're not a business owner, highly, highly, highly recommend that you have either a whole website for your podcast or at least a dedicated landing page for your podcast. This is great for SEO and a great way for people to discover your podcast. And especially, again, if you're a business owner, blogger, anything like that, this is another access point where they can be like, oh, hey, didn't know she has a podcast. Great. So I keep it typically very, very simple. It's just the name, description, have quick links to platforms. And then, like I mentioned, I will put each episode in a blog post. So I embed the player for that episode into the blog post and have either a transcript or I kind of tweak the transcript so it reads more like an actual blog post. So you can see that here, pretty short and sweet. And that's it. That is my podcast setup. There are obviously a few different tools. You don't have to use all of these, but these are the ones that I love. It helps streamline things and makes production easy. So, if you have questions about any of these tools that I use, let me know. I will put the links to them all in the description so you can check it out. Otherwise, I will see y'all next time.